Hello everyone, Norma Woodcock speaking to you from Perth in Western Australia. I'd like to speak into the fifth Sunday of Lent, Year B, and the theme, We Die to Live. John 12:20-30, in verse 24 Jesus said, "Unless a wheat grain falls on the ground and dies, it remains only a single grain. But if it dies, it yields a rich harvest." I came across this lovely little story about a grain of wheat. I'm about as small as you can get. I'm only a grain of wheat, but I have a story to tell. Please listen, because it's your story too. All during the dark, cold winter, I lay in a barn, warm, dry and safe. Yet I felt unfulfilled. I felt I was not really living. I felt I was born for some great purpose. But what that purpose was, I had no idea. And I felt sure there would be suffering involved in it. Little did I know how much. Then one spring day the farmer took me and a sackful of others out of the barn and scattered us on the soil which had been freshly ploughed. Then he harrowed us into the ground. Suddenly I found myself buried in the cold, dark, damp soil. I had gone from a barn to a tomb. How could he be so cruel? Days passed, if you could call them days, and still there wasn't the slightest sign of growth. Instead, to my horror, I saw that I was beginning to decay. Still, miraculously, I was alive. A tiny pulse continued to beat deep inside me, but I felt that I was losing the battle, even the will to live. The fact that I continued to live was due to the prompting of some mysterious outside force. Meanwhile, unknown to me, things were happening in the great world above. Nature was about to come to my rescue. The earth was beginning to thaw out. Rainwater sank slowly down and soaked into me, or what remained of me. Then things began to happen fast. My once tough husk, now ravaged by decay, first began to soften, then to swell. Suddenly it burst open and out came a tiny shoot. "It's happening," I cried deliriously. "I'm not going to die after all, I'm going to be born." And born I was. I shot up, a sturdy shoot that soon turned into a tall stalk. The sun shone warmly on me and the wind passed over me like a blessing. I was growing and ripening. I was no longer a single grain, but a whole host of them clinging to the top of a tall stalk. I would give life. I would quench hunger. All the pain and uncertainty was worth it. There is a huge paradox in all of this. A paradox is defined as a seemingly absurd or self-contradictory statement, which is nevertheless true. A grain of wheat has to die if it is to bear fruit, and a single grain of wheat can produce as many as 70 grains. Jesus went on to say that there is a sense in which we must die if we are to bear fruit. And I guess I just want to share a little moment about some of the dying I've had to do, and maybe it will touch your hearts, because we all have to die in some way, and because I am practical and I get it right down where it belongs, I had to die about being cheeky and answering back to my husband. I had to die to having the last word. I had to die to being proud of always getting it right and feeling that he always got it wrong. And so it's a very simple way of saying that wherever in your life you need to die, God will point it out to you. And I can remember many, many years ago actually getting quite proud because I had produced several CDs and I was lecturing at Notre Dame and wonderful things were happening, and I thought God was going to be so proud of me. And one day, this is what I heard in my deep prayer: "I'm more impressed, Norma, on how you treat your husband than all that you are doing." So I don't know if that's going to speak to somebody today, but you know the dying that has to happen. It could be even in the area of alcohol, it could be the area of drugs, it could be the area of a shopping addiction, it could be the area of pornography addiction, it could be in so many different areas where you've just got to actually turn away from whatever it is. But some of the most fundamental truths are found where we live and how we relate to people, and that's how we're going to have to die, I believe, to make room for the coming of the one who has the power to resurrect us and to give us those shoots of life and food and blessing for other people. And my marriage of 53 years next April is strong, but there's been a lot of dying on both our parts to get there. And can I say to you that God is with you wherever it is that you may have failed, wherever it is that you may have succeeded, but today's a new day. Do not think of the past, just think of where He is asking you to go from today. You are that grain of wheat that is going to die and bring forth a great harvest. God bless you, and thank you so much for listening. I look forward to meeting you again next week.